I'm in Castle Stormville, and this hawk that just attacked me, it has blades attached to its feet in place of where the talons should be. This isn't actual grafting, but it seems to me to be a prototype for grafting. I cho- I chose to use the main gate. I'll replay this again so my explanation will be a little bit more clear. The sky will be dark for now until I proceed a little bit further. But basically, there's two towers up here, in the front of the castle. They appear to be broken. It looks like they're broken. However, if you look up on top, they're actually smooth, and there's structured that little small ornamentation that is not broken. Um, Later on, much later on, towards the end of the DLC, in fact, there's going to be a structure called the Divine Gateway. Um, that looks a lot similar in structure to these two towers. And when you're first playing the game, you'll see a structure like this and think nothing of it. You'll think, okay, this is just damage to the castle. Um, but much later on, once we get to the Divine Gateway, when you see a similar structure, that's when you can start making connections. And one of the connections they can make is that the Divine Gateway, these contours perfectly frame the sun, because in the Divine Gateway, the sun is always up. Here, this is towards the west of the map, and the sun sets in the west, and as it's setting, it's framed by the contours of these towers. I'd had the gatekeeper open up this main gate, not because I'm going to use it, but because I like to have it open so I have options for how I want to proceed. He's the gatekeeper. Um, I don't know why the gatekeeper. Well, I do know why, but it is suspicious that the gatekeeper is giving you advice on how to breach the castle undetected, when it's his job to guard it. And there's a reason for that, and we'll get into the reason why. But it's interesting. The thing around his neck, it looks like a pillory, but he's actually wearing this voluntarily. It's a way to show faith and commitment. And of course, you can see it's having an effect on his neck. But if it seems like he's the sort of character, oops, accidentally jumped off there. If it seems like he's the sort of character who can't be trusted, that instinct would be correct. He's actually a grave robber. But this is an interesting thing. So I had about 13,000 runes when I died, right? And this is how you can really show what's going on here. Normally, when you pick up the runes that you dropped, where are they? When you pick them up, you get the exact amount back. Okay, here I got the exact amount back because I'm not actually in the castle walls themselves. But if I were to die in the castle walls and I were to pick up my runes, I would get about 30% less than what I had. And the reason I'm getting less is because he's stealing them. Okay. And here's the hawk that I was fighting last time. I'm going to avoid it this time. Alright, and let's come up here. And he's going to blow his horn and alert his comrades. He should have been focusing on saving himself, but oh well. And now that I'm in the castle, let's backtrack just a bit. And look who's here. He's following me. So he told me to use the side path, and as I'm coming up this side path, he's sneaking behind me, thinking that he won't be noticed. So let's go confront him. I'm gonna have to deal with this hawk again, probably. Yep. Okay. Not a problem. So.
Oh, you.
Yeah, you've been called.
Oh, great. I'm glad you're here. Just a small reward. I was saving it for you. Please, it's all yours.
Right. I'm not gonna use it, but okay. And of course, the reason he's following me is so because you know this is a difficult game, and the idea is if I die here, he's gonna loot my character's corpse. Leather shield of Stormvale soldiers, much like the castle, it is marred by mottling and thorns. Some say it is the curse of grafting which causes such affliction, while others talk of its root being somewhere altogether more sinister, hidden deep within the castle. So, interesting thing here about the grafting of creatures in this castle. In most fantasy settings, they would call it chimera or something along that effect. Chimera, hybrid creatures, something like that. So they're specifically saying grafting in arboreal term here. And there's a reason for that, because this is a society that has the worship of a tree, the Erd tree, as the center of its religious and social order. So in a society where tree worship is this important, the whole concept of grafting is especially abhorrent. And that's what I think the game is trying to communicate here with that word choice. Alright, so I need to go in here, and that guy Gostock is going to try to trap me. So, okay, I don't have a torch, so it's going to be dark. I'll just have to deal with it in the dark. And that laughing is Gostock. He trapped me in here with this knight, with the expectation that the knight's going to finish me off, but he won't. Okay, I needed that key to unlock this door here. This is another bit of iconography that you'll see a lot in this castle, the lion. And some of the stuff will start to make sense once I get to a particular room at the castle. Alright, there's going to be an ambush around this corner. Nice try. So I was mentioning before is this castle is made, it looks like Norman architecture. There's one other castle in the game that has this sort of Norman style architecture, and we'll get to that later. But that one is made for purely functional purposes. This one originally likely was made for purely functional purposes, and I believe all this extra ornamentation to make the castle look ostentatious was added later by the current ruler of the castle. The current ruler, his name is Godric. And of course, you're noticing more and more holes in the wall with the thorns in there. Needless to say, these were not made by a siege engine or a catapult or anything of the sort. Much later on, as we explore down the foundations of the castle, you'll see what the actual cause of all this damage is. This is a tough night. I'll ambush them. These are called banished knights, and when fighting them, they use wind abilities, and the reason for that, and the reason why this castle is so associated with wind, is because there used to be a giant raging storm in this region. In fact, that's why they call it Stormvale. And this castle was once ruled over by someone called the Stormlord. We don't know much about the Stormlord. My suspicion, though, is that the Stormlord was a dragon. Okay, I can start leveling up. For now, I'm just gonna get a little bit more vigor, because these hawks can do some serious damage. Okay. Yeah, these are kind of annoying because they throw explosive barrels at you. Alright. And they're really fast too, so if I'm using like a bow or a ranged attack, it'll be a little bit easier, but since all I have is a sword, you have to be fast when it comes to trying to actually land a hit on these things, while also not getting hit by these barrels. That's one hawk. The nice thing about these is if they attack you and they hit the ground, their blades get stuck in the ground briefly. So that's pretty convenient. All right. There's a lot to see in this castle. I'm taking one possible path. There's multiple ways you can get through here. But this is the person I was looking for. He's a sorcerer.
Ah, nice to meet you. The pleasure's mine. Roger is the name. A sorcerer, as you might have guessed. I'm looking for a little something here in the castle. When I'm not hot-footing it from the troops, that is. But enough about me. What are you doing here in Stormvale Castle? This place is bristling with tarnished hunters, you know. They sacrifice our kind for grafting. Not exactly a place I'd stroll into without a purpose in mind. I see. Here to challenge Godric and lay your hands upon a great rune, are you? You can see it then, I take it.
So the title that Godric uses,
well,
or that he used in the past, was Godric the Golden, because he's from what's called the Golden lineage. But now he's called Godric the Grafted because of what he's done to himself.
I'm privy to a few magical
Compared to the other demigods in this game, he's the weakest of the bunch. And to compensate for his weakness, he participated in the practice of grafting to try and make himself stronger. These statues are interesting here. So the statues on the side with the singular sprout are in the Round Table Hold. You'll see them all over the Round Table Hold. But here in the center is a crown sprout. Multiple sprouts shooting up from the same source. This will get into a bit of revisionism where multiple lines came from the same source called the Crucible, which we'll learn more about later in the game. But some lineages were deemed more acceptable than others, so the rest were pruned. And the contrast between these two statues sort of hints at that. Especially once we get more into what the Crucible is and what it represents and all that. But basically, as in any very well-developed world, there was civilizations that came before the current one, and the current one had to do away with a lot of old practices. These knights are pretty tough if you don't catch them by surprise. And notice this guy. He's on a balcony overlooking something deep down in the foundation. There shouldn't be an exposed foundation like this in the castle. As you can tell, not only were there big holes in the outside wall, but there's something very wrong with the structural integrity of the castle. This is a troll that's being devoured. And these bodies that are wrapped up here, these are likely to be used, likely those who were not accepted for grafting purposes. In fact, let's actually miss this stuff. Okay, there we go. The person we met last time, Roderica, this belongs to her. Okay, and there's another grafted scion. And like I was mentioning last time, in grafting terms, the scion is a part of the tree that gets grafted onto the rootstock. And again, this is almost like a prototype for Godric himself. And as you remember, this is the first enemy you fight in Elden Ring, and it's designed to kill you. So this is going to be a tough enemy. Well. But fortunately, I have a better sword this time than I had when I started. Okay, now here is one of the most important decorations in the game. Ignore the limbs here that are being used for grafting. But this guy here is Godfrey. Not Godric, Godfrey, but they are related. We're not sure exactly how they're related, but Godric says he's from the Golden lineage, which means he's descended from Godfrey. And of course, these being beings who live a long time, Godfrey is still alive. And the lion iconography on the banners and stuff you see is in reference to the lion that's perched on Godfrey's shoulder. The lion's name is Sarash, called the Beast Regent. He was some sort of leader among beasts. Godfrey is meant to be... He's sort of meant to represent King Arthur in this story. There's a lot of parallels between Godfrey and King Arthur. For example, one of King Arthur's sons was named Mordred. One of his sons is named Morgott. Both of them started out as barbarians, and they were made into rulers by being divinely chosen, rather than being born into royalty. Both were betrayed and cast into exile with the implied promise to return one day to save their people, and Godfrey actually will return. And here's why Godfrey's portrait is so important in this castle. Well, first, Godfrey was the one who conquered this castle from the Stormlord, and he did it in one-on-one combat. And if the Stormlord is a dragon, like I think he is, then that would make Godfrey even more impressive. And in fact, when you fight Godfrey later on in the game, you'll see exactly what he's capable of. But also, it's not so much that Godfrey conquered this castle long ago, it's what the current ruler of the castle, Godric, is using his legacy for. So, in British history, there was a King Edward I, called Longshanks. He was of Norman heritage, and to better establish himself as legitimate, he sought to associate himself with the legends of King Arthur, even going so far as to commission a round table be constructed. even wore a crown that he claimed was worn by King Arthur. Godric is doing the same thing here. That's the thing with all this the lion ornamentation. And wait until you see Godric's weapon. So as you can see, Godfrey has an axe, and the axe, it was a double-sided axe, and it's broken. There's going to be two other characters with axe weapons, and both of them are reminiscent of Godfrey's axe, but for different reasons. And yeah, as I mentioned before, this castle has a lot of ornamentation. That's because of Godric. And Godric is, like I said, he's a weakling who seeks to make himself stronger by grafting other people onto himself. He also wants to show the appearance of strength by decorating the castle to be extra ostentatious. So the key to fighting both rats and dogs in this game is they can stun lock you pretty easily. So the idea is to wait for them to jump at you, dodge their lunge, and then counterattack. And it's interesting what we find here. A Godslayer seal and the Godskin prayer book, which is used for incantations they'll be used by someone who would be plotting to kill the other demigods. And that's likely what Godric is up to. He's not the sort... So there's other demigods in this game who engage in outright open combat, such as Godfrey and Radon and others. A lot of others are proud of their strength. Godric is the weakest. He doesn't do outright combat, he does scheming. And this is likely more evidence of his schemes. I'm just gonna run past these guys. This guy's tough. Okay, he's down. It should go without saying that elevators weren't common for Norman architecture. But they're making some allowances here. Just gonna grab this. This giant jar is going to attack, but... Oops. As I mentioned before, these are warrior jars, and they're going to make absolutely no sense until the DLC. There's a story behind why they exist, but for the time being, they're not going to make any sense, even if I try to explain it. Alright, so there's a character we need to meet here. Her name is Nefeli Lu. And first, let me just take care of this troll. Probably not necessary to defeat him. I can just run past him, but it'll just make things easier. Let's see. Okay. This is Nefeli Lu.
To a higher place.
So another interesting thing about Godfrey, and another parallel he has with King Arthur, is he originated as a barbarian before being civilized. And before taking on the name Godfrey, the name he went by was Horaloo, same last name as her. How they're related is not made clear, but we can assume based on her barbarian outfit that she's probably descended from his clan.
I'm here by decree of my father. How utterly repellent this is. This
And when she
grafting
says her
is not
father,
its
she
way
means her
befits a
foster
lord.
father.
He's tainted the very winds.
Notice she says something interesting here. His grafting has tainted the very winds, because wind is a big part of the culture of this place, having been ruled over by the storm ruler.
If you intend to challenge, I ask you call up the winds run foul. I'm certain father would.
And as I mentioned, in a society based around the worship of a tree, grafting is particularly considered abhorrent. Okay. Godric is through here. I'm not gonna. You can summon Nefeli Lu for help with this, but notice something interesting. Her axe. This is just a preview of what she looks like, but she's carrying 2 axes, and Godfrey's axe. Godfrey had a double-sided axe, and one of the blades was broken, leading to a stump on one end where one of the blades was. In her recreation, in fact, let me just so I can get a better view. I'll go ahead and summon her. And her axes, instead of a little nub there, she has hawk heads as sort of ornamentation for her axe. This was likely directly inspired by Godfrey's axe, except instead of that point at the end, they have hawk heads. So we can tell that her axes are inspired by Godric's axe. You might let me just go ahead and have her fight with me on this. That should be alright. Godric is going to be through this door. And you'll see why he's called Godric the Grafted.
Mighty dragon, thou the true-born heir. Lend me thy strength, O kindred. Deliver me unto greater heights. Well.
His axe is based on the original state of Godfrey's axe, the 2-sided battle axe, but his axe is a lot more ostentatious and gold-colored than Godfrey's. He has a symbol of the lion with the jewels on it. So Godfrey was a warrior. Godric is impersonating a warrior. And he thinks that the ornamentation and the jewels and stuff will make a difference. He's actually quite a bit tougher than I was expecting him to be. Oh yeah, he has a wide radius with these axes. And he somehow managed to learn to use wind abilities, likely from the Stormlord. And you may wonder why he's cutting his own arm off. Well, he's going to do some more grafting. As you can see from his various limbs, he's already grafted himself a lot. And now he's gonna graft a dragon head.
Lend me thy strength.
He's saying forefathers one and all bear wit. He's trying to impress his lineage. But he's about to be dead.
I am the Lord of all that is golden. And one day we'll return together to our home, bathed in rays of gold.
So, when I first played this game, of course, this game is known to be pretty difficult. Godric actually took quite a few tries to defeat, and the key to him is don't be too aggressive, back off, and wait for opportunities to attack. Okay, I can level up quite a bit here. I'm gonna level up Faith a little bit because there's a particular spell I want to use. And we're not quite done with Stormvale Castle because notice how the ground is split here
Craven to the bone.
and how on either side of the walkway the foundation is giving away, right? There's serious structural collapse here. Well, we still need to find out what's going on there. And
Godric, you filthy slug.
notice this. This is what's actually Godric. So, as big and puffed up as he was, most of that was other people grafted onto him. This is what's actually originally himself. He was called the runt of the litter, and that's why.
Oh, hello there. This weasel was... Godric was always looking down on me. He got what he bloody deserved thanks to you. I tell you though, what goes around comes around. He had an ugly heart, an uglier countenance, and met the ugliest of ends, eh? Now I can do whatever takes my fancy. Can I, mate?
Okay. He's dealt with. So now let's go investigate the foundation. This path is not very obvious unless you're really observant, that you can run along this sill. And we met this sorcerer, Roger. He's also looking for what's down the foundation. But he's not going to be as fortunate as we are. These guys will ambush you if you don't take him out early. And here, oh, I think someone's still throwing. There we go. There's still some of them. Nice try. Okay, now we're safe to proceed. Okay, he left. Roger left behind a message. Okay, let's first open up this doorway. So this is back where we were before, but now I unlocked a shortcut because this door was locked originally. There is another way down here, but you'll take some damage from falling from a large distance. This way is safer and you take no damage. I'm gonna avoid this giant bat. Oh, and I just remember last time I got the beast repellent torch. Actually, I could have used this when those rats were attacking me. The rats and the dogs, because this torch repels them. Yeah, this rat's not going to attack me as long as I'm holding the torch. Alright, now this enemy's gonna be tough. It might take me a few tries. In fact, this might be tougher than Godric. Yeah, there we go. The tree spirit. Who can breathe fire? Okay. What makes this one tough is the enclosed space we're in. And how we can jump around like that. And explode. That also kind of makes this a little bit tough. Okay. Well, all the explosions and fire breathing would be more manageable if I were in a more open spot. Okay. Not doing too bad this time. Okay, almost there. But... oh, he's gonna do his little tail thing. There we go. Okay, another good hit should do it. He's gonna explode again. Alright. You just really gotta look for the... so, when he does this, when he's preparing to explode, obviously you want to be far away from him because there's a blast radius. But also you want to look for the little flame spouts on the ground to see where fire is going to erupt from. And just be clear of that. Now here's what's causing the destruction of the castle. First, so when you're playing online, if you touch bloodstains, you see where another how another character, not another character, but another player has died. So another Elden Ring player, it'll show you how they died. Here it's showing how Roger what happened to Roger. I'm not playing online, I'm playing offline. So the fact that I'm playing offline should be the clue that this is not another player. This is a character from the game. In this case, Roger. And the exact animation that happened when he goes up into the air like that, that's what happens if you get death blighted. So he got infected with death blight. And this is a face here. And this is not going to be the only face of the sort we see in the game. So the first demigod in the game to be killed was Godwin. All these G names can get confusing, but we've talked about Godfrey, Godric. This is Godwin. Godwin the Golden. And he was the first of the demigods to be killed. And he was buried in a he was buried, and because he was killed with the rune of death, that seeped into the roots of the great tree and spread all throughout the lands between. And that infestation is causing things like this to sprout up all over the place. Last stream, I got this thing called Death Root. a source that gives rise to those who live in death. This whole phenomenon of those who live in death originated from the murder of Godwin. The beast clergyman found at bestial sanctum in the distant east collects and devours these roots. On the night of the dire plot of the stolen rune of death enabled the first death of a demigod. Later, the rune of death spread across the lands between through the underground roots of the great tree, sprouting in the form of death root. One note about the way that the demigods are named, obviously, as other people have noticed, all their names start with the letters G, R, or M after the initials George R.R. Martin, the guy who wrote the lore behind the game. But also, they signify who the parents are. So Godwin is the son of Godfrey, and Godric is a distant ancestor. Morgoth and Moog, Godfrey's other two sons, they have M names, but also that's because that their mother is named Marika. And then, of course, you have the demigods who are the children of Radagon and Renala, two R names. In European royal families, it wasn't uncommon to have this sort of alliteration with names. Alright, and let's go to the Rampart Tower. One more thing I want to check out in the castle, and then I'll exit the castle, and we can proceed. Now, first step is to survive getting past these birds. So, try to get it stuck in the ground and then counterattack is the goal here. Actually, there's two more things to do in the castle. Now I think about it. Yeah, I wasn't seeing that third bird. Oh well, let's sneak past here. And drop down these ledges. Fall damage in this game makes no logical sense. At a certain height, some falls will kill you instantly. But then this, if the floor crumbles, for some reason, it cushions your fall. Okay. This is... What we have here is a Crucible Knight. And you'll see the relevance in a moment, once we get back to the Round Table Hold. But these guys are tough, so I probably won't survive this one. Crucible Knights are, like, there's only 16 of them in the entire game, and they're very difficult opponents. They can make the ground explode by stomping. That's sort of how tough they are. And if you do too much damage to them, they grow wings. But fortunately, there's an easy way to get rid of this guy in particular, which is we're going to make him fall down an elevator shaft. Either way, even if this doesn't work, the act of setting the elevator up will at least unlock a shortcut. Okay, he didn't take the bait, but that's fine. I really just wanted to show off what a Crucible Knight looks like. There'll be more of them. Like I said, there's 16 of them in the game. Okay, these are the birds. But if we continue up a little bit more, there's a useful item I can grab. So a lot of the secret of finding all the hidden stuff in this game is a big part of it is just look down. A lot of stuff can be found by dropping off ledges. So look over any sort of ledge you come across, look over the ledge and see what you can find. So much hidden stuff in the game can be found that way. This bird's interesting, has a mask on it that lets it breathe fire. That's why I was careful to take it out from above so it wouldn't get a chance. We've pretty much got most of the stuff in the castle, so I'll be going ahead and just grabbing one more thing and then proceeding onward. Notice that these guys use wind abilities. This particular skill is called Stormblade. And as I mentioned, this castle was originally ruled by a Storm Ruler. A lot of people get that confused with the Stormhawk King. The Stormhawk King was a hawk that ruled over, or not necessarily ruled over, but was seen as sovereign by the other hawks. There we go, that's what I wanted. Okay, I think that's about it for this castle. So let's go back to where we defeated Godric. I was actually expecting this castle to take longer. But Godric was pretty easy. There is actually one other thing I do want to look at in this castle. Of course, behind, like Edward I was using the imagery of King Arthur, Godric's throne room, of course, is using the imagery of Godfrey to sort of sell his legitimacy. Last stream, I showed a shortcut around this castle. So the bridge to Liurnia is broken, but I showed how you can jump off the bridge onto this cliffside and follow a little path to navigate around Stormvale Castle. Well, if you didn't do it that way, this back door to Stormvale Castle will lead you out to Liurnia. Shabriri grape. This is not a grape. Maiden, dear maiden, where are you? Please take my grapes. Yeah, these may be interpreted as grapes by those who are blind. They're eyeballs. Yeah, a yellowing, oozing eyeball of the infirm. The surface is shriveled and the inside is squishy, not unlike a large, overly ripe grape. Give to the blind maiden to guide her to a distant light. So yeah, someone's been giving her eyeballs and telling her that they're grapes. And the reason for that is because, well, there is a reason. There is an actual reason for that. And once we meet the blind maiden, it'll become a little bit more apparent. But these aren't ordinary eyeballs. These are the eyes of those who have been afflicted with madness. Did I already talk the tops last stream? I don't remember. Yeah, I did. Okay. Okay, so lift site chamber. Last thing we need to get in the castle, which is to unlock Godric's Great Rune. I'm not going to do this with every Great Rune we unlock, but in particular, I am going to need to do this with Godric's, because I'm going to need to use his Great Rune at some point during the game, much later on. But I might as well go ahead and take care of it now. I'll just run past these guys. And I have to be careful up here because not only are there people with ballistas, but the ballista bolts actually explode. Okay. So let's see if we can survive running from exploding ballista bolts. The idea is, obviously you want the bolts to miss you, but if they miss you, you don't want them to hit a wall right next to you because they explode. So you want them to miss you and miss everything near you. Okay. Before I fight this lion, I'm just gonna go ahead and get the Side of Grace. I'm headed towards this tower, but first I'm going to take a look at the lion. Now in the capital city, you'll find an elevator that looks a lot like the interior of this tower. I believe at one time, this probably was an elevator similar to the one in Lanedale, the royal city, and I believe this was just the elevator portion was removed. Even the banisters along here, there's no reason to have these railings on an interior wall like this. The reason for that is because this was an elevator at one point. Despite the coloration, this is considered a lion. And notice it has a blade attached to its right arm. Easiest opening is when they slam down or they jump at you. But don't be too aggressive with a lion. Just wait, be patient and wait for opportunities to attack and to heal. Yeah, roll it too early that time. You want to roll it just the last second to avoid their lunges. Okay. Interestingly, the lions are one of the only ones that don't respawn, I mean. And the reason why I wanted to show the lion that they're sort of keeping as a guard, almost like a guard dog, is, of course, Godfrey has a lion on his shoulder, and Godric wants to be just like Godfrey. He wants to show how similar he is to claim legitimacy. So, you know, and he imitates Godfrey in only the most superficial of ways. So Godfrey originally had a double-sided axe, so Godric gets a double-sided axe, but makes it much more ostentatious. Godfrey has a lion on his shoulder for a particular reason, but Godric just sees the lion and thinks, okay, I need a lion too, so I can be just like Godfrey, and show that I'm worthy of his lineage. These are called golems, and in Greek mythology, there's this god named Hephaestus who created automatons that are powered by fire. And these golems are also powered by fire. In fact, they can breathe fire. Trying to avoid the archer in the back. Fortunately, friendly fire is a thing here, so sometimes the archer in the back can kill his comrades. There we go. Took him down. Key to these golems is to do charged heavy attacks, a few of them, on their legs if their legs are uncovered. Unfortunately though, some golems will have armor over their shins, so it's a lot harder to do. But these guys don't have that armor, so they're not that difficult to take out. Heavier weapons are easier, but even with this weapon, charged heavy attacks are the way to go. Two of them should do it. and do a critical on their chest. That's their weak point. Okay. So we don't have much of the map unlocked yet, but as you can see, there's already, you can see there's a big open area of water with no land here. And the relevance to that will eventually become clear. It'll become really clear in the DLC, but even here we can start to see some hints of things. Okay. In last stream I had mentioned that there's these gigantic structures that appear to have been built by a giant civilization. It appears that these divine towers were built by the same civilization, and also knows that there's some formless rock around these divine towers. This is the first one we're seeing, but in all the other divine towers, they're all encased in this sort of like this amorphous rock that almost like it's sort of formed from volcanic activity. And if it's showing up in every single one of these towers, there must be a reason for it, right? So let's go in here. Start seeing some glistening stone embedded in the walls. And some stones here. These are fragments of meteorites. All these divine towers seem to have some association with meteorites. And when you find all 6 of the divine towers, they sort of form a hexagon pattern. Almost as if, and the hexagon pattern is around the center of the map where there's a big chunk of land that looks like it's missing. Almost as if there was a meteorite impact. There's another explanation for why the big chunk of land is missing. That'll become clear in the DLC, but prior to that, we're starting to see evidence of some ancient civilization that may have been taken out by a meteorite impact. These are a set of 2 fingers. There's multiple 2 fingers in the game. These are emissaries from the Greater Will. They act almost like you can think of them as radio antenna. They receive signals, communications from the Greater Will, and pass them on to finger readers. And you have to go to these divine towers to unlock the great runes of the demigods. I just unlocked Godric's. I say unlock. The term they use here is benediction. I gave a benediction to the great rune of Godric. So now I can use a rune arc to use his great rune. I'm not going to use it until a certain point later in the game. But for now, let's go back to the round table hold. So I just showed the first Crucible Knight that a lot of people are likely to find in the game. Back to the round table hold, where this appears to have been Godfrey's original axe, along with the swords of his Crucible Knights embedded into the round table. But if you come here to this adjacent table, so a round table is meant to convey equality, right? So with King Arthur, the message was, okay, the king and his knights are all equals. There's no head at the table, at the round table. But in this adjacent room, behind these fingers, you have a throne and a small council set up. So equality out here, but hierarchy in here behind closed doors. Now the doors are open and we can sort of see the truth. These are the main 2 fingers, which again are just emissaries. They receive signals and they're interpreted by these people called the finger readers. You can think of them almost as Braille. So it's almost as if the finger readers read the movements of the fingers like they're reading Braille. Her name is Inya. So let's talk to her.
Are you that new tarnished? You've done well. I am Enya, the finger reader. words of the fingers, envoys to the greater will. Look there. The fingers tremble to welcome you, Shardbearer. Let their wisdom wash over you.
Great Elden Ring, root of the Golden Order, anchor of all lands, giver of grace, wellspring of all.
There's also a
joy.
3 fingers in this
Until it
game.
was
The
shattered,
2 fingers are emissaries of the
it's
greater
like a
will.
corruption of
The
the
3
order
fingers are
has
emissaries of
taken
something
its
else.
toll. Across the realm, life lies in ruin, fallen to pieces. Foul curses and misery spread, unabating. But the greater will has not abandoned the realm.
And of course, notice she has no
Nor
eyes.
the life that inhabits
But her
it.
job is to read the fingers,
So it
almost
is
like
that
reading
the
Braille.
tarnished are
That's her only
guided by
purpose.
grace, called to act, brave tarnished. Your great rune is a handsome shard of the Elden Ring. Seek another of its kind. To become Elden Lord and restore the Golden Order.
Let the words of the fingers guide
Everyone's telling you to restore the Golden Order and do this mission to become the Elden Lord for the greater will. That's not going to be your only choice in this game. You will have the ability to make other choices if you discover those choices for yourself. And that's one of the sort of themes of this game is people tell you what to do in the game, and you can follow along with those instructions, and you'll do just fine. You'll see the end credits, you'll beat the game, all that. But if you think for yourself, there are other choices you can make.
Greetings, my name is Roderica. Isn't this place impressive though? The round table hold, covert quarters of the 2 fingers, and gathering place of champions who
Roderica is who we met before in Stormhill Shack.
Upon us tarnished had such fantastic
She was
gifts.
sent to this land basically to be a human
It's all a bit
sacrifice
much
because
for me,
she's
in
crazy.
truth.
That's why.
I'm still looking for my own purpose.
She was going to be, obviously something's off with her, the way she talks and all that. So her people sent her to this land to be a sacrifice, to be grafted. But obviously that's not going to happen now because we just killed Godric. Rogier is here and he's injured. I'm going to wait a bit before I talk to him though. Just because once you start talking to Rogier, it kicks off sort of like a time limit of what you have to do to complete this quest. Same with Fia here. I'm going to wait to talk to her because it's just more efficient if I talk to her later.
Now, look at you. Those eyes tell a story of a challenger who's felled his mark.
He wasn't that hard.
Fight 'em well.
It was just
Now
Godric.
lay out your arms.
We can talk to him about Roderica.
The girly boy here. She's crestfallen and can scarcely swing a blade. But she has a gift for spirit tuning. I saw another one like her long ago. Their eyes share the same hue.
Okay, so he's talking about someone with the same color eyes as Roderica. Which means green. I suspect he's referring to Marika, but it's hard to confirm that.
It's all a bit much for me, in truth. I'm still looking for my own purpose. You're telling me I possess some kind of gift? I don't believe you. But if I do have this talent, and goodness knows it would be my first, I suppose I should try to hone it, shouldn't I? I'll ask Master Hugh to teach me. Certainly he does appear intimidating and holds no love for us tarnished. But I know he's trapped here at the Round Table Hold, so I can tell. He's a gentle soul underneath it all.
He said that she has a gift for spirit tuning, and by that he means the spirit ashes that you can summon during boss battles. Again, I'm not going to use these spirit ashes in this playthrough, but they start out pretty weak, but you can use Roderica's services to tune them to make them stronger.
Back already. No matter. Lay out your arms.
He's the most disorganized blacksmith ever, just weapons strewn everywhere.
The girl. What about her? Are you out of your mind? Who'd stay with an ugly brute who only knows how to smith? Absurd. Besides, she'd never agree to it. I refuse to believe it. I don't doubt you, but I know when something's too good to be true.
Okay, and after resting here, you'll find that
Good to see you again.
she does become his apprentice.
Thank you very much. I have you to thank, don't I? For persuading Master Hugh.
Yeah.
I can happily announce that he has taught me the noble toil of spirit tuning. I'm as yet unsure of what I might be able to accomplish, but if I might be able to help you all, I'd certainly like to try. And if there's any chance to ease the suffering of my dear men who were grafted, well, I certainly must try. Roderica, the Spirit Tune Apprentice. Pleased to make your acquaintance.
Yeah.
Greetings. Are you here for spirit?
Try to give her back that thing I obtained. Yeah, this Chrysalis Memento.
You, is it? I didn't notice you there. I'll be doing my job, same as ever. Just lay out your arms. Those words were not meant for you. I may be prisoner to you, tarnished lot, but my prayers are mine, and mine alone. Well, I've had my say. I'll be more careful too. I spoke with the girl. She has a gift for spirit tuning, so I told her everything I know. I'm indebted to a spirit tuner I met long ago. It was all I could do to honor her. I'm sorry I doubted you.
Okay, so that's all, pretty much all there is to do in the Round Table Hold for now. Actually, no, I still have to talk to Gideon. And Nephili. As I pointed out last time, he goes by Gideon the All-Knowing, and notice on his armor he has, up on the top, looks like eyes, and then around his mask he has what looks like ears, as in he sees all and hears all.
The wisdom of the two fingers, have you not?
Except he really doesn't. He wants people to think that he knows everything, but his intelligence is also limited.
As a tarnished who wishes to stand before the Elden Ring and become Elden Lord, I am accumulating knowledge to be all-knowing. You now belong to a select group of fellows. As such, I ask that you remain constant. You'll be after more great runes now, eh? Then as your fellow, allow me to divulge a little knowledge.
And if your intuition is telling you that you can't trust this guy, that would be correct.
We of the Round Table know the location of 5 of them, including the one you defeated. Godric the Grafted, Lord of Stormvale.
He's dead.
General Radahn, who fought Melania and her rot to a standstill.
Both of them are going to be tough.
Wilds. Praetor Rykard, Lord of the Volcano Manor of Mount Gelmir. Morgoth, the Grace-Given, Veiled Monarch and Lord of Lane-Dell. And Renala, Queen of the Full Moon, ruler of Rhea Lucaria's Academy. You'll still be after more great runes, won't you?
Yeah. Okay. And this is Nephili.
You again. I thought you'd receive a summons to the round table. Nepheli Lu. We met at Stormvale. I'm glad to see you here. I have something for you. I found it in Godric's grafting grounds. You defeated him. You should have it. Make good use of it. I don't intend to make a habit of scavenging corpses.
Okay. Basically, this lets me carry more weight, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Because this is one of those game mechanics that the game really doesn't make clear at all. First, since Rodrika went to the round table, she left this behind. So I talked about equipment load. If I go to equipment, on the right side of the screen near the bottom, it says equip load 34.8 out of 68.8. The number on my right is my maximum equip load, and the number on my left is the current equip load, which is the combined weight of all my equipment. My talismans, my weapon, my armor, all that. If you keep your current equip load between 30 to 70% of your maximum, you have a medium load. If it's less than 30, you have a light load, and if it's greater than 70, you have a heavy load. Your equipment load determines how fast you regenerate stamina and how good your roll dodges are. So like if you have a heavy load, you're going to be rolling very slowly and it's going to be hard to dodge. It's very difficult to maintain a light equipment load. Medium is more practical for most people. Alright, so let's go back to gate front. I try to maintain at least a medium equipment load. There is one particular boss fight where I do try to have a light equipment load, and that's Melania, because in that fight, dodging is extremely important. So I'll even go into that fight with no armor on, just so I can have a light equipment load. Here's another one of those sword monuments. If you see these, they contain just information about past battles. So in this case, Godric the Golden, that's the title he was given, Godric the Golden, before he became known as Godric the Grafted. Godric the Golden, humiliated, having tasted defeat by Blade of Mikola, now on his knees begging for mercy. Blade of Mikola refers to Melania. She introduces herself as Melania Blade of Mikola, Mikola being her twin brother. This, of course, says that he, at one point he hid from Radon, and he challenged Melania to a fight and was defeated. He begged for his life. She spared him. He left, and of course, that defeat made him want to become stronger. And since he had no way of doing that legitimately, he grafted other people onto himself. And hear this bush talking?
You? Yeah, you.
Yeah. This is a demi-human named Bach.
What for? Oh, yes. I remember. Some clod turned me into a tree. You were just breaking the spell, weren't you?
Yep.
Thank you. The name's Bach. I was pushed out of the cave. Told not to come back. Not ever. Then I ended up as a tree. Lucky you came along, really. Oh, what a shame. When they threw me out of the cave, they took everything I owned. And so this is all I have to express my thanks. I hope you can forgive me. Or
Oh, thanks, a mushroom. What I've
if you
always
can
wanted.
afford to wait for a while.
Actually, mushrooms can be useful if you're wanting to craft
Sneak
sleep
back
pots
into
in
the
this game.
cave and bring back something of actual value. Then I'd be of some real use to you, I reckon. Right, but I'll need a moment. I'm frightened of them, so I have to gather myself. My knees start knocking, just thinking about that god-awful cave on the shore.
Yeah, good luck with that. Okay. Alright, so we got Grail last time. Yeah, let's head up to the Bestial Sanctuary. As I mentioned last stream, the reason why Kayla looks the way it does is because Melania basically nukes the place in her fight with Radon, and these smoldering walls are meant to contain the spread of Scarlet Rot. These are minor Erd trees. You can usually find these creatures called Erd tree avatars around them, and you can usually find tears for your Flask of Wondrous Physic by defeating these things. This one's pretty tough, so I'm not going to fight it just yet. I'll do that at a later point in the game. I believe I'm only like level... Okay, level 40 now. Okay. Now, these are called rises. They're sorcerer's towers, and a lot of them are sealed. Like, it's almost like locking a front door. You need to find the key to unlock these seals. In this one, Linus Rise, there's no key for that. You can't unlock the seal. So, to get in here, you have to come from the roof using that spirit spring. These are memory stones. Each one of them increases the number of spell slots you have. And interestingly here, a black lightly beguiling stone, prized by the sorcerers who produce them, said to be a fragment of the black moon that once hung above the Eternal City. When we start getting into the Eternal Cities, they're heavily associated with sorcerers and the moon. Sorcerers, the moon, and silver, which is a contrast to the gold of the Golden Order, and the sun that's associated with that. Alright, Bestial Sanctum is up next. And this is interesting. These things right here along the road. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Other button. These are poison traps. Running over them will spew poison. And hiding along the edges are called the Vulgar Militia. They're very short creatures that act as mercenaries. And they seem to be defending the Bestial Sanctum. They're hiding to ambush people who try to pass by. Oh, better run. At this stage, they do a lot of damage to you, but also they're very easy to stagger. So, if you want to take your chance at, like, you know, stealth killing some of them by sneaking up on them from behind and doing backstabs, they can be a good way early game to get some runes. Because they drop, I think, like somewhere around 1,000 runes each, which is, for early game, that's pretty good. I'm making sure to go out of my way to collect starlight shards because for one quest I'm gonna need a few of them. And when I say a few, I mean about 3. And see this giant gargoyle here? Yeah, he's way too tough for this stage of the game, so I'm gonna skip him. But some interesting things here. There are beast skeletons popping out of the walls. And the walls of this place are going to look pretty similar to the ruins seen at the beginning of the game. Such as in Limgrave, when you first start the game. And here we go. More beasts. These look like they may have been some ritual sacrifice, but I don't think that's quite it. These appear to be, so they're wearing gold ornamentation. I keep accidentally calling my horse. But they're wearing gold ornamentation. This appears to be like a funerary rite. Like, this is actually, despite how it looks, this may actually be meant to honor them. And this guy's going to be important. He's actually very important to the story, even if it's not clear how at first. I'm going to give him the death root I collected. There's 9 death root in all in the game.
I smell it. Death. Feeding me. Till I shall grant thee eye and claw. Feed me more.
Okay. Sacred Seal granted by Garok, the Beast Clergyman, a rare trinket which allows incantations to be scaled with strength. The claw mark represents Garok's wrath, enhances bestial incantations learned from Garok. So the claw represents wrath, but let's see if we can find something that represents something else. So, as I was saying before, the secret of finding things in this game is to just look down. So that's what we're going to do here, is look down. And what do we see? Oh, okay. This root growing out of the wall. Nice. Alright. Just look down. Cool. Got it. You do have to be careful in this part of the game. It is pretty easy to fall. Okay, that went okay. It's hard to remember how much lower you can go. So I'm just going to head over here a little bit, because I don't remember how many levels you can go down before it kills you. I think I have to go down one more level. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I do. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, the claw mark represents Gronk's wrath, but this design celebrates a beast's 5 fingers, symbolic of the intelligence once granted upon their kind. And both of them raise the potency of bestial incantations. So, the claw represents wrath, and the 5 fingers represent intelligence, but more specifically, intelligence that was once granted to them. So, the implication here is they started out as beasts, they were given intelligence, likely for a specific purpose, and later that intelligence was taken away from them. And once we get to Farum Azula and see more of what's going on there, I'll get more into what I think is going on with that. Like why I think they were given intelligence and why I think it was taken away. I do think it has something to do with their association with dragons. Okay, right now I cannot fast travel because it counts. I guess there's enemies still aggroed onto me, and I really don't want to lose all these runes. But let's see what we can do here. I believe I was given a Grace Mimic, so... Oh no, that doesn't do what I thought it was going to do. Yeah, I don't really have a way of leaving without losing all my runes. I may have to sacrifice my runes. Unless I can just outrun these things. Yeah, I guess the only way to avoid being stuck here is just to kill every bat you come across on the way down. I'm not seeing another option here. Yeah, I can't open my map at all. And I can't exactly get back up. I really don't want to lose all these runes. Let's see how many I need for the next... Oh, I could have gotten a level up too. I had enough runes for a level up, and now they're going to be gone because of the aggro range on these bats, who won't actually fight me. You know what? Let me do this. I'm going to exit and then enter and see if that de-aggroes them. Because I just don't want to sacrifice this many runes. And the reason I'm playing offline is just because all the bloodstains, phantoms, and messages and stuff just make the game look ugly when you're playing online. And I just prefer it without that mess. Okay, so we found Bach. Let's go ahead and I can progress this quest line, but I don't really want to. I will later, but let's just do more of Liurnia. Actually, no, I said I was going to do Castle... Nah, Liurnia is fine. But before that, I do want to go back to the first step to show something. This is where Vare was. He's telling us to go to Rose Church. Oh, and what, before I forget, let me actually level up. I'm not going to push Faith too high. I'm really just wanting to be able to use Blood Flame Blade. I believe that takes... Okay, yeah, 12 Faith, which I have now, and 10 Arcane. So I need 2 more levels.
Ah,
had your audience with the two fingers at the round table home. What was your impression?
You got to choose the first one. They didn't seem right.
Aha! Your intuition serves you well. My doubts had been piling up, you see. The words of the two fingers cannot be trusted.
Your words cannot be trusted.
Naught but rambling.
Neither can theirs, but yours can't especially.
I believe that when the Elden Ring was shattered, the two fingers were corrupted, their guidance skewed. Even worse.
He is actually right about this.
Fingers harbor no love for our kind.
I don't know how he guessed it, but he actually is right about that.
Oh, I have a gift for you. Something fit only for the wise.
Okay, so of course it's perfect for me.
A means for circumventing the draw of the two fingers. Give it a try, won't you? And if it please you, may we meet again. I've high hopes for you, my lambkin.
Don't call me that. Okay, so what he just gave us was a multiplayer item. He gave us 5 of them. You have to use, in order to progress this quest line, you have to use 3 of them. You don't have to win your invasions. You just have to invade someone or invade people 3 times. But what if years from now the servers are offline or not enough people are playing Elden Ring and you can't do an invasion anymore without a lot of trouble? Well, there's an offline method as well. And to do the offline method, we'll have to make our way all the way to Altus Plateau. I'm going to do the offline method for the purpose of this. The game gives you absolutely no hints whatsoever that there even is an offline method of doing it. And it's one of those things that is basically impossible to figure out on your own, but there is a way to do it. So for now, let's just work on getting to Altus Plateau. We have the 2 halves of the Dexter's Medallion. And there's really no hurry for me to actually get to progress Vari's quest line. Some people will try to progress it early because it unlocks Mogwin Palace, which lets you. There's a rune farm there where you can shoot a bird. When I say shoot, I mean literally a giant bird with a bow, and it's a really effective early game rune farm that gives you lots of runes in a very quick amount of time. I'm not gonna do that, so there's not as much of a rush for me to unlock Mogwin's Palace, but it is kind of a cool place, so I would like to unlock it. I'm just not, there's no pressure for me to get there fast. So I can take my time to build that. And yeah, since I'm not going to be level grinding, that means there's really two options here. One is to do more of the optional content, like catacombs and dungeons and stuff. Or 2, just play the game underleveled. I'll probably end up doing more of the latter, being underleveled. Okay, so what we just grabbed there was the Academy Glintstone key, which lets us enter Relicaria. But since the keys are tied to their owners, like basically imprinted with their owners, I can't give this one to Thops. Not Thops, Tops is how he pronounces his name. I have to find a second key inside Relicaria. But I can use this one, at least, to get in myself. Hear the singing? I don't know what the lyrics are, but I know they're Latin. It's this bat right here. That bat is literally singing. rune art. I'm not really going to be using those much at all. I might a few times, but really I only have one rune arc use planned, which is for completing Gold Master's quest. And that's why I went. That's why I unlocked or gave the benediction to Godric's Great Rune, because when I do use that rune arc, it's gonna be for Godric's Rune, so I can complete a certain quest. Because what Godric's Rune does is it temporarily, well, I say temporarily, as long as the rune is Great Rune is active until you die, it raises all of your stats by 5 points each. And I'll need that to overcome a stat requirement. Alright. Unlocked quite a bit of the map here. And there is, you can hit this wall up here to make it disappear. It's an illusory wall. But I'm not going to do that just because there's some spell casting sorcerers on, not like undead sorcerers on the other side of this wall. And yeah, if once you knock it down, it's down permanently. I'd just rather not deal with that. This is EG, a blacksmith.
Look at you.
He's who Blythe was telling us about.
We don't receive many visitors. I presume you are tarnished? What brings you here? Oh, pardon. I am E.G., a blacksmith who once served the Carian royals. An old codger who refuses to retire his rusty hammer. So here I am, still quietly plying my trade on this spot. Perhaps you'd like a display?
From Software really likes to reuse concepts like the giant blacksmith.
Oh, watch out there. When I'm absorbed in my smithing, I lose sight of all else. If you come too close, I'm apt to cause you harm. I am, after all, terribly large compared to you, Tarnished. You don't know how hard it is not to break anything while I work.
That sounds pretty menacing.
Brave Tarnished. A word of warning, if you please. This territory once belonged to the Carian royal family. Their manor lies not far beyond this point. When the Rhea Lucaria Academy turned on the Carians, the Knights of the Cuckoo descended on this tract. After leveling it, they carried on to the manor. The Carians were taken off guard, but their strength had not waned, and they repelled the Knight's onslaught by conjuring an enchanted snare that remains potent to this day. That is why I say, Tarnished, don't go near the manor unless you wish to lie with the corpses of the heedless Knights of the Cuckoo. Blythe actually did that. Did he? Quite a rare occurrence for such a guarded soul as he. Perhaps he sensed something unusual about you. At any rate, if you're friendly with Blythe, I've something else that might suit you. Something.
This is what we unlock early by helping Blythe out with Darwell. It reduces your FP cost for Ashes of War by I think like 25%. And I'm on my way to grab the Intelligence Crystal tier, which again I'm probably only going to use once this entire playthrough. these are called finger creepers. And yeah, they are associated with the two fingers. And yeah, this is a giant hand under here. One helpful hint for this is that they get stunned by fire. So if you do fire damage to one of them, they'll start rolling around, and then they make it easy for you to attack them. Okay, so that's done. Let me actually. Did I already talk to Raya? Let me just make sure. You know, I can actually check the letter from Volcano Manor just to, because that'll tell me whether I completed hers. Maybe not. Okay, let's. Ah, okay. It's the Blackguard I haven't spoken to yet. Yeah, you don't want to forget this part. If you proceed too far without completing this part, it'll lock you out of progressing him any further. It could potentially also mess up another quest.
What are you looking at? You trying to start something, mate? Ah, that necklace what you're after, is it? Well, show me what it's worth to you, and I'll consider parting ways with it. I'm not in love with it or nothing. You're a shrewd one, Chief. First.
Okay, so let's. It costs 1,000 runes, so let me just use one of these. All right.
Decided to you'll be one. All right. Things no doubt. Your bloody eye. Oh, piss off. What is it now? Oh, I see. You want some of me prawn? Freshly cooked it is. All right then. It's yours. If you can meet my price. I could be persuaded to sell you some other bits too. If you've got the runes.
Buying prawn from him will make him friendly to you.
Oh. So you met the girl, did you? Alright, well, sod the particulars of the matter. But it ain't my fault she's stupid enough to get duped, is it? Anyway, she ain't alright, that one. Lucky she ain't died on the bloody roadside, I reckon. You're tarnished too, ain't you? Can you see it then? The guidance of grace, I mean. I can't see it at all no more. Makes no bloody sense anyway. Why some no-name shithead like me should get called to the lands between. Cruel bloody joke, you ask me. Maybe something went tits up with it. Maybe it's been broke for a good long time. The earth tree, I'm saying. Never met someone with a taste for prawn I couldn't trust. We'd make good mates, I reckon. I'll be seeing you.
So my interpretation of that is prawn in this society is likely a class-based dish. It's likely something that lower socioeconomic classes eat. So that's why he's saying never met someone with a taste for prawn I couldn't trust. He's seeing us as sort of relatable to him. That's just the theory anyway. There's Patches. Won't need anything from him right now.
The thug should be resting at an abandoned home down the way. Please, I must have the necklace back. Oh yes, that is my missing necklace. Thank you kindly. I am in your debt. Did I forget to announce myself? I am Raya, In the service of Lady Tanith of the Volcano Manor, I seek stalwart Tarnished, who might join our house. You are very brave yourself. Not only a steady hand, but a steady heart. Merciless, even to your own kind.
All I did was buy a necklace
Such
from him.
strength is precisely what my mistress seeks.
I guess she's assuming
Please,
that I would have, like, attacked him or
this.
something.
Brave Tarnished, seek the Altus Plateau, the realm of the Erd Tree. Most Tarnished are doomed to wander the outskirts of the lands between, peering wistfully at the towering Erd Tree. But you are no ordinary Tarnished. And once that is proven, the Volcano Manor will fully extend its invitation to fight amongst a family of champions. Please stop, brave Tarnished. You will only tire by striking this barrier.
She's referring to the fact that I jumped a few
see
minutes
that
ago.
You have reconsidered.
Like a minute ago.
Thank goodness.
Jumping is interpreted as aggression, I
One more
guess.
thing. Only for you. This land of Liurnia is connected to the Altus Plateau by the Grand Lift of Dectus, beyond the High Road. But the lift has been defunct for an age, meaning there's no simple means of passage. Instead, you must seek the old ruins in the cliff. At the base of the valley, near the Grand Lift, there's an old tunnel. It was excavated from both ends, linking Liurnia to the Altus Plateau. I have faith in you. A champion through and through. I do hope that we can meet again.
Okay. So once we get to Altus Plateau, she can take us the rest of the way to Volcano Manor. But for now, let's see, I already grabbed the key. Okay, yeah, so as a shortcut, let me go here. There's a portal that will send you right to Raya Lucaria. Alright, so interesting thing. You can use these seals to teleport, but also just walk through them. I will be using it to teleport in a bit, but first I need to get this golden seed down here. As I mentioned in the last stream, the golden seed item description says that they're found at the base of illusory trees. A golden seed found at the base of an illusory tree, implying that these are illusory. But since they have solid mass and you can't walk through them, it means that illusory has a different meaning here. Kind of like how illusory walls have mass. I kind of suspect that Margit's weapons that he conjures, the golden weapons, are illusory to some extent, even though they can actually harm you. Alright, so this is a continuation of Yura's quest. Again, quest lines in this game are really not not very intuitive at all. You're just supposed to find a random sign on the ground somewhere. And if you miss that small sign in the gigantic world, well, I guess you're supposed to check every single corner. In the right order, too. Because if you go too far without completing certain requests, they become no longer available.
Thanks for your help there. That bloody finger was a thorn in my side. And now I'm finally rid of him. Here's a token of thanks. Please, take it. I may not have much time. I'm dying to see you. Eleonora. Violet Bloody Finger. Yes, I've been tracking Eleonora for quite some time. She is the deadliest.
So the guy we just killed, Eleonora, and the first guy, Nereus, who he helped us kill, they're bloody fingers. So they're part of this. They're in the same faction as Vare.
She comes for you. Do not think twice. You must flee. There is no shame in self-preservation.
In fact, since Vare gave us these, he's wanting us to become bloody fingers too. Alright, so let's go ahead and use this seal.
Please, your fingers. Bless you. Bless you.
Okay.
You, the one who holds both half-crescents. Take the path to the grand lift ahead. For you are the one who will be Lord. Bear witness, one and all. The Lord is returned.
Okay, it's a bit premature for all that.
The Elden Lord is come again.
I've only gotten one great rune, so calm down. This is, so like I was saying, the Round Table Hold has statues where this guy is tending to one sprout. Well, here along this road, it's a crown sprout. So at some point, other sprouts were pruned from this. And this is, so we've seen statues of Marika at these churches before. This is a statue of Radagon, and we'll find out more about who he is later. But he's associated with the Golden Order. That's all you gotta know for now. Radagon is like a big Golden Order person. So I have 9 red flasks and 1 blue flask. For this weapon, Bloodhound Smineus, it really doesn't. It's Act 4 really doesn't use much FP at all, so it's very good with conserving FP. The First Liurnian War. Radagon's glory burns red as his hair. So there were 2 Liurnian wars, and Radagon was the leader of the Golden Order forces for both the Liurnian wars. And as for what stops the wars, we'll get into that as well in a little bit. There's no real reason for me to have to, for me to come up here this early. Aside from I can grab a few extra golden seeds, and I guess I can go ahead and defeat Magnus for his weapon, the Great Stars. I'm going to be using the Bloodhound's Fang for the majority of this playthrough, but as a nice secondary weapon, especially for Crystallians, there is another weapon I want to get called the Great Stars. That's a nice strike weapon. So I think I'll go ahead and pick that up. Yeah, so there's 2 ways up to Altus Plateau. There's the Grand Lift, which you need to get both halves of the Dectus Medallion for, and I have those. Or there's another path down here in this ravine. At some point throughout the playthrough, I'm going to be taking both, but for now, I'm doing the Grand Lift of Dectus. And I normally don't skip cutscenes, but this is just an elevator ride. I'm not going to watch a very long cutscene for an elevator ride. It actually has 2 cutscenes each time you ride the elevator. So we're in Altus Plateau. And of course, Caelid was red sky. Altus Plateau is yellow sky, very yellow themed. Elden Ring really likes having non-subtle color themes, which I actually like. I mean, it would be annoying if every game did this, but it works for this game. But anyway, here's Raya waiting for me.
I've been waiting for you. I knew you had the stuff of champions. I hereby invite you to the Volcano Manor.
And there's no reason for me to go to Volcano Manor this early. I'm not going to join them just yet. I'm just going here now just to have this as a teleport option for fast travel later.
As Lady Tanith.
That structure kind of reminded me of the Brandenburg Gate. I don't think there's any connection at all between the two, but that's just what it reminded me of, is the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin. Yeah, so this is Volcano Manor, and I just activate that side of grace, and I'm just gonna immediately get out of here because I don't want to start this quest line yet. It's gonna mess some stuff up if I do. Now this, I was saying that Stormvale is Norman style. This is a very German style castle here. Like there's one, I think it's called like Schwerin or Schwerin, something like that, Schwerin or Schwerin Castle. That reminds me a little bit of this. Or that, and I think it's called Hohenzollern. Maybe that's the right pronunciation, I don't know. Oh, by the way, these marionettes. Anytime you see marionettes like this, there's probably some association with sorcerers. And as we go through the Volcano Manor later, we're not going to find any sorcerers, except for like the occasional Albinoric, but there's still that association with sorcery, and there's a story reason for that, which we'll get into later. Now this part makes me a little bit nervous because I need to grab, yep. Normally if you try to grab the map fragment right away, that hand will attack you and probably kill you at this early stage. So I'm just gonna lure it up here. And hopefully that gives me enough time to do this. There we go. Now I do want to talk to that ghost. So let me just rest. Nice. Alright, let's see what this ghost has to say. Lord Reichard. If this putrid field of death is what your blasphemy would bring, then I can no longer abide. No one can. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much a good litmus test for any ideology. Is if it naturally results in fields and fields of bodies, maybe you should rethink your beliefs. I mean that should really just be the first clue. Okay, there's gonna be a tree spirit that pops out of thin air. I'm not gonna deal with this, not now, and I mean, since I'm not going for a sorcery build, maybe not ever in this playthrough. But if you are to use a sorcery build, this defeating that tree spirit gives you a pretty useful crystal tier for that. Alright, I'm gonna be... So last stream I fought Anastasia Tarnished Eater. She's gonna evade again. In the meantime, I'll just grab this golden Vow. With NPC things, they can run faster than you. So outrunning them is, if you're locked on, you can't really outrun them. So a lot of times you'll have to lock off and then just run away from them and wait for them to attack. And the idea is you'll be just out of range of their attack, and then you can counterattack. Okay, Sacred Butchering Knife. She invades 3 times in this game. This was the second invasion we just took care of. The third one will give us a nice upgrade item, so I always do that. And now I just... Oh man, this thing probably saw me already. Yeah, it saw me. Oh. I was gonna try to sneak. No, that's not an option anymore. So, climbing the ladder fast is my best bet now. So, let's go find the most loyal wolf, who's resting here beside this corpse in a chair. I'll try to leave you alone. I'm just gonna grab that because I can use it. Okay, so I can upgrade my Bloodhound's Fang from +5 to +6 now. It's the +7 Somber Stones that are hard to find because all the areas in the base, actually, yeah, all the areas in the game where you can find the +7 Somber Stones require you to first beat a boss of some sort. Rainbow Stones lead the way to riches. As we've talked about last stream, the character Patches likes to set traps for greedy people, and that's what's going to happen here. But I'm purposely falling for the trap.
Well, if you really are that gullible.
Then stay away from the Volcano Manor! Bye now! Take care!
Okay, so let's... Oh, no. Didn't mean to go off the edge there. Okay, so there's just a... He kicked me down here, but that's fine, because there's a golden seed I want to grab. Once I'm able to open my map, I can tell... Okay, it's... I believe it's north. That didn't do much. I think I will go ahead and try to handle the whole Magnus Beast Call thing. Just because it'll help. If I can get to Mogwin Palace, I can get a Somber Stone 7. And actually I can fully upgrade by Bloodhound's Fang. Okay, so yeah, I missed the Golden Seed. I'll backtrack once I get this side of Grace. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna have to get some stuff here while I'm at it. So there's a few items I want to grab. Yeah, whenever you see a group of a bunch of jellyfish congregating together, and they're the white jellyfish, you should probably investigate, because they're usually visual clues to prompt you to look over there. I grab mushrooms whenever I can because they're used for sleep pots. And definitely grab St. Trina's Lily whenever you can. There was a sorcery back there I could have grabbed, but I'm not using sorceries. There's a demi-human queen boss up ahead. I may or may not fight her. Maybe I'll try, and if it doesn't go well, if I'm just under leveled, then I'll just ignore it for now. She drops a memory stone, but again, I'm using a melee build. I mean, I'm sure that'll change because I'll probably want to use like Flame Cleanse Me at some point, or Fire Grant Me Strength, Flame Grant Me Strength, and Blood Flame Blade at some point. So there will be some incantations I'll probably use. This is Azur. He is a sorcerer who, as you can tell, he was experimenting with some powerful sorceries, and things went a little wrong for him. Let's just say that. He's not doing so well. Well, according to him, he's probably doing perfectly. Because his goal was deeper understanding of what's called the primeval current. But yeah, he was morphed into this thing you see here by experimenting with glintstone sorcery to an unhealthy extent. Yeah, this would be easier without these things spamming and without all the other demi-humans. Yeah, that's... The queen herself isn't the problem, it's those other sorcerers. I mean, maybe I could just ride around and take him out real quick. Okay. Well, let me just get my my runes back. Cool. Okay. So back to Grand Lancer Dectus. actually, let's rest here and talk to Melina.
The Erd Tree is close. Only a little further till the foot of the Erd Tree. And the accord is fulfilled. It takes me back. I was born at the foot of the Erd Tree, where Mother gave me my purpose. Though now, everything is lost to me. I have to ascertain for myself the reason for which I live, burned and bodiless.
Your feet. To the east, ruins of gold. To the west, the serpent's sacrilege.
She's referring to Volcano Manor as serpent sacrilege.
Wherever the path leads, so shall you follow. Wherever the path leads, only more sorrow.
So she's a lot more pessimistic than the last finger reader I spoke to.
The curse of Queen Marika.
Okay. Okay. So this character is Gold Mask, and he doesn't talk, but you still have to try to talk to him. And that right there just unlocked more dialogue and quest progression. So that was a necessary step. So actually, I don't use, I'm not using Spirit Ashes, but if you were to, there's a unique set of Spirit Ashes here. Giant Rat Ashes. And notice it has no cost at all to summon. Literally costs 0 FP, 0 HP, nothing. No downsides whatsoever to summoning it. And when you're upgrading it, when you're doing Spirit Tuning to upgrade with Roderica, obviously you still have to use your Grave Glove Wards, but it doesn't cost any runes. Now, you can actually get 2 of the same weapon in one playthrough. One from the guy we're about to fight, and one from this carriage. hopefully not die. Okay. Great stars. This is one of them. And I can get a second copy from defeating Magnus. He can be a difficult fight at this low level, because a lot of his attacks can kill you in one hit. Let me just clear the field a little bit of these dogs, so there's no interruptions. Okay. So, fortunately, if you die, you start right back here, so there's basically no run back. So let's try to fight Magnus. He can be tough at a low level like this. And with the speed he's approaching it, I don't have time to drink my flask until I create some distance. Yeah, he's fast. Oh, really? He dodged that? He's so vulnerable, too. He's surprisingly quick for such a heavy weapon user. Alright, come on. That attack spamming can one-shot you. So you have to sort of roll through it. Come on, stop doing that. Okay. I don't remember if he heals or not. Hopefully not. Oh, wow, okay. Let me lock off of him because I need to heal. Just, when fighting this guy, don't take chances. Just play it safe and wait for good openings. Cool. So, I mentioned before that you had to do 3 invasions to progress Vari's quest, but there was an offline option. Well, that right there was the offline option. The game gives you no hints at all that lets you know that this is a thing or that this counts at all towards Vari's quest. But it does. That's the offline option. Alright, so while I'm here, I'm just going to go ahead and upgrade my weapon again.
Well, I took you no matter it out your own.
And it'll be a while before I get a Somber Smithing Stone 7. I believe I have an 8 and a 9. And once I get to Mogwin Palace, after completing Vari's questline, I'll be able to easily get a Ancient Dragon Somber Smithing Stone for a +10. And I'll max out my weapon. So that's what I'm going to try to do for this stream, before I end the stream, is just to try to max out my weapon. So that way, next time I do a dungeon, which will probably be Raid with Lucaria, I'll just breeze through it.
I wish to anoint a knight luminary So,
and there's unfortunately another test I have to complete before I can do that.
Have it any other way. Now, for your final trial, soak the cloth. Well, normally this ritual would involve killing one's own maiden and recanting the wisdom of the 2 fingers. But since you are maidenless,
and whose
the
fault is
blood
that?
of anyone's maiden will do. The cloth is the blood of anyone's.
Okay. So there's a few options. There's someone named Irina in the Waking Peninsula that you can kill for this quest. I highly recommend not doing that. She's the easiest option, but doing so could potentially mess up another quest line. If you want to do all the quest lines, then don't do it. But if you don't care about finishing Hyetta's quest line, which is associated with Arena, then you can do it. But I wanted to do all the quest lines, so I'm going to do a different option. One option is to fight someone named Vike. The other is to go back to the Chapel of Anticipation. I'm just going to go ahead and do the Chapel of Anticipation. I'll eventually be doing both because I have to go and fight the Vike Invader anyway at some point for a different quest. But this is easier for now, so I'll just do this. Imbued Sword Key. Oh, so these are like the Stone Sword Keys, except they only work on these belfries. There's 3 keys in the base game, 1 the DLC. There's also 3 gateways to use them on in the base game and 1 the DLC. So it works out, and they're interchangeable. But before I do that, you want to make sure, read message, you want to make sure it says Precipice of Anticipation, because each of these belfries will send you to a different location. Alright, so the first Graphic Scion that you fight in the game, and that you're expected to lose against, if you somehow manage to defeat him, which I've done a few playthroughs, he won't be here. But since I didn't this playthrough, he'll be here, and I'm going to fight him again now. And hopefully win this time. That's the goal, is to win. The hardest part about the Graphic Scions is their reach. But Bloodhound's Fang is not that bad. Oh, and this weapon I just got, Ornamental Straight Sword, you can actually dual wield. So, like if I were to two-handed, it works as 2. Okay, so this is back where we started. And this will actually let me start progressing 2 quest lines at once. So first is the maiden we saw at the beginning. I'll go ahead and dye this cloth in her blood. And next, at the beginning of this game, this door is locked. Now it's unlocked, and I can go up here and grab this item, the Stormhawk King. Ashes of a hawk revered by all others as sovereign back in the days when Stormveil's winds still raged like no other. This ancient monarch is proud, however, refusing to answer anyone's summons. Okay. Nice. So let's go back to Vare. So before ending the stream, I'm going to fully upgrade my weapon and go ahead and collect an item from Celia. So I'll go ahead and complete the Celia puzzle as well.
Ah, my lambkin, you've completed your final trial. And with this, you are a formal inductee. A knight who will assist Luminary Moog, the Lord of Blood, in the establishment of a new dynasty. Now, give me your finger. This noble blood will be an immutable badge of honor once it settles inside of you.
So what he's basically doing is putting blood inside your fingernail. Not sure how that's supposed to work, but
Oh, good heavens.
yeah, it
Clench
doesn't
your
sound
teeth
fun.
or something. Never forget that feeling of agony, for it is what binds you to Luminary Moog, to all of us. You have the sweetest scream, my lambkin. Oh, another thing. You should have this. A medal granted by the new Moguin dynasty, with the power to grant audience with Luminary Moog. I've gone out of my way to provide one to you, but you mustn't use it just yet. The meeting must wait until the Moguin dynasty commences. Luminary Moog yet slumbers beside the divinity. We must endure a little longer.
Okay, so here's the thing. If you look at the item he gives you, audience with Moog will be granted one day. Used to be granted audience with Moog only. It is not yet time. It'll actually never be time. There will never be an opportune moment where the game says you're supposed to use this. Vari will always be kept waiting. So since there never will be a right time, you can just go ahead and use it. To get to Moguin Palace, completing Vari's quest to get this item is one method. If you mess up Vari's quest for whatever reason, or you kill Vari or something like that, you'll have to wait until much later on in the game in order to find a portal to get here. But we're back in the underground world. We previously explored Shiva River, and this was that glowing, like, Acropolis type structure that we saw from a distance. Okay, so this isn't a huge area, but there's some items we can grab. In particular, upgrade stones. It seems like most, if not all of the stones are somber stones. There are some NPC invasions we can fight that I'm actually going to at a later point. But right now I'm too low level for that, so I'm just going to be careful and try not to get killed. Because, yeah, you're not... Aside from Vari's quest, the only other way in here is to be in a very high-level area anyway to find a portal. So, yeah, this area is definitely meant to be extremely high level. Alright, outside the DLC, this is the best talisman for defense against holy damage you can get. I won't have to worry about, oh no, holy damage till much later, really, but might as well pick it up now. And maybe if I'm careful, I can hopefully not trigger an evasion. We'll see. Just gonna stick to the edges here so I can grab the golden seed. Is that enough for a flask upgrade? Nope. It is not. Okay, let's go. Let's go. So, I'm not really showing off what glove ward does, but there's two types. There's grave. Oh wow. Okay. There's grave glove ward, which will upgrade your regular spirit ashes But then for so-called like special ashes or legendary ashes, that's what you use Ghost Glove Wort for. And really the main difference is, so like, for weapons, the difference between a regular weapon and a somber weapon is whether or not its Ash of War is a unique skill. But for Spirit Ashes, whether it's a regular Ash, Spirit Ash or a legendary Spirit Ash, there's really no objective mechanic besides lore. That's pretty much it. If they have enough prestige in the lore, then they're the special kind that you need the Ghost Glove Worts for. Okay, so I'm just collecting stuff and... One of these corpses has a Somber 7 stone. That's what I'm wanting. 8. Okay, so not yet, but... Once I find it, it'll be great. I know there's a Somber 9 in here. Guarded by this guy. Yeah, these things are high level right now. See, even that didn't do much. And they can kill you pretty easily with their somersault. And those little redheads you see there, that's them gonna ambush you. Somber, yep, see? Well, got a Somber 9 out of it. I'm really needing a Somber 7 though. Wait a minute, I'd actually, now that I think about it, I don't think there is a Somber 7 in Mogwai Dynasty. I was thinking of that corpse in the Lake of Rot, actually. Okay, so it may be some time before I'm actually able to get a fully upgraded weapon. I'll at least get the 10 though. In the meantime, I'll just check the corpses just in case. Because I am still getting some good upgrade materials. And I'll let those runes go. Okay, so if you were to use a rune farm, there's really two major ones in the game. The first involves a bow and arrow. You stand here, and when the bird gets close, you snipe the bird with the bow. It runs off the ledge, and it gives you about 11,000 runes. The second involves taking out all these Albinurics at once with a Sacred Relic sword, which you get by beating the base game. So that rune farm is really mostly good for New Game Plus or for the DLC. Okay, I may not be able to get a Somber 7 here. I really thought there was one, but I was probably mixing it up with the Lake of Rot. That's fine though. Even a plus 6 is still more than enough for this stage of the game. was making my way up this palace. Okay. And weirdly enough, coming in contact with this blood causes you to start accumulating blood loss. Smithing 7, maybe I was thinking of that. Specifically, just looking for the somber Smithing 7. You know what? I haven't actually bought a link yet. So this is not going to be fun. Another corpse. Yeah, finding somber 7 smithing stones is a point of frustration with this game. Okay. Yeah, this would be. Oh, you know what? Now the lantern, but I forgot I stopped this torch. There is a merchant here, but as you can tell, with I don't know how many of these enemies these things spawn in, but when you defeat one, it seems like more spawn in. I don't know if there's a limit to them, but it's either way, it's not a good time to go shopping. Your best bet really is once you have a better weapon and you can do more damage, just to run in, kill the merchant, take his bell bearing, and then buy his stuff later. This summon sign here, you can actually use that to invade Vare and kill Vare. I recommend not doing that until you have the white mask item. You have to do 3 NPC invasions down there in the bloody swamp to unlock the white mask, and then go ahead and take on Vare. It's a helpful mask to have just because it increases your attack power when there's blood loss in the area. Okay, it can be hard to get into this chest, so I like to lure this guy off. And okay, got it open. So now okay, we're good there. And that elevator will take you up to the Moog boss fight, which I am not going to do today. I just wanted that stone. Okay, so the stone I just grabbed is interesting. Somber Ancient Dragon Smithing Stone. This will let me get my weapon to +10 once it's at 9. Ancient Dragon Rock Smithing Stone, Drain of Color, a Scale of the Ancient Dragon Lord, and Hidden Treasure of Farum Azula. The Ancient Dragon Lord's seat is said to lie beyond time. This stone lightly twists time, allowing the creation of a weapon capable of slaying a god. I'm going to come back to that much later, but this whole thing about lightly twisting time, that's not just thrown in there. There's a reason for that, and I'll discuss it when the time comes for that. But for now, let's see, I got my weapon up to +6. Can't do 7 just yet. Let's see here. I suppose I can go ahead and I'll fast travel to Raya Lucaria. see. You know what? Actually, given the time right now, let me take a look here. +6. You know, I gotta been streaming for about 3 hours. Got quite a bit done. I think I'm just go ahead and call it here for tonight. And then on the next stream, I will be taking on Rhea Lucaria. Alright, so thanks to everyone who showed up, and I'll see you next stream.